he's the easiest one to draw our attention to because we both have him
I
at number
thought
one.
was the best catcher, best playmaker, besides, well, on the outside or receiver, was the best playmaker at Michigan last year, not remotely close. I mean, the kid reminds me of a Dalton Kincaid, maybe.
Yeah.
I see the same frame. They're around the same height, same weight, have the same type of vertical, have the same type. I went and looked up this kid's 40 today just to see, like, hey, just how much of a comparison are they? I like Loveland a lot. I think that he does everything well. I think I can see him being a Charger in his near future. That's how much I do think that Harbaugh loves him. He was the safety blanket, and every time that J.J. McCarthy needed something, that's where he went. You know, Joe, I think I remember it was the Ohio State game, I believe. It was a crucial 3rd and 7, and both receivers were one-on-one, man-on-man, that he could have gone to Wilson or whoever. He goes to Loveland in double coverage. Now, that's a bad read by McCarthy, but that's game on the line. That's where he wanted to go. I think that says a lot about a kid that would want to go to him. I think he is going to be a top 15, top 20 pick. I think he's that good. So I look at Loveland, for me, Joe, as the best tight end in college football, and then everybody else. I don't think that it's that remotely close, if I'm being honest with you.
I'd say that it's a little closer than you're giving it credit for, but I do agree that there's no debate on who deserves to be the number one. 45 receptions for 649 yards this past year, 4 touchdowns. He was splitting time and not rotating, but they ran a 2 tight end offense, and there was also
a lot of 12 personnel.
Yes. He is as good of an athlete as Brock Bowers. He's maybe just a little bit less of an athlete, just a slight hair less. I think that he's going to be a first-round pick this upcoming year. He's a guy, when you put on the All-22 and you're just watching the tape and seeing how this offense does, your eyes immediately pivot to him. Because the rest of the offense is just a really, really well-rounded guys. You know, Blake Corum, well-rounded. Donovan Edwards is a good athlete, but the offensive line is just, steady. But, man, when he gets the ball, he is hard to keep up with. Big frame. He might be like a 4-5 athlete. I really think that this upcoming year, now that he is the only premier tight end on this roster, he's going to take an even bigger step forward. And Michigan's offensive success needs to run through him. They need to keep finding ways to get him the football, because now that Roman Wilson's gone, who's their next receiver? He is their next best receiver. And that's why he deserves to be number one, because he is going to get deservedly the most attention on his team, and he is going to be the bigger reason why they win offensively.
Here's the problem with Loveland. Who's going to throw him the football?
That's a good point. It's a good point.
So I think you get to a place with tight ends, Joe, for example, who are like, these guys can get lost in the shuffle very quickly. And I think that his production is going to take a hit. I don't think he has somebody that can get him the football. I went back and watched Orgy's spring game again today. I do think that they're in trouble from that position at throwing the football. Now, running, they're going to be fine. I just look at Loveland, though, what you said, really good on the line of scrimmage, can really take on defensive ends when it looks like he can't, physical at the point of attack, but they ran a lot of delay stuff with him. I think he's one of the best at showing that he's going to the second level and pivoting off, using body leverage really well. So that's what I would say in reference to him. But again, I just caution everybody, if you're going to do some kind of college football fantasy, he might be our number one tight end, but there's no way that I'm taking him, because I just don't know how much he's going to be utilized this year. And to be real with you, I'm a little surprised he didn't hit the portal
No, come on. They weren't going to lose anybody. They weren't going to lose anyone. It's from Idaho. Good. It's not like he's got anywhere to go back to. It's not like he's from the state of Georgia or from North Carolina or something.
Covering college football with me?
This is year number. We're only a year.
Well, more than a year. It's like a year and a half. Okay, coming up on 2. How many times do we talk about teams tampering?
A lot, but again, I don't know where else he's going to go that's going to be a better situation than a team that quite literally prioritizes tight ends as the number one offensive asset. Like where else is he going to go?
Joe, he could be the number one offensive guy at Michigan. It might not be worth a damn. I mean, statistically, he's there with guys like Mason Taylor and other guys that weren't that very utilized. I mean, again, you could be the number one option in an offense. It won't matter if they're not throwing you the football.
I don't think that I'm not buying into that. I'm sorry. I get what you're saying, and I understand that, like, if you're a guy like Loveland that would want a more secure offensive situation, like he could totally have transferred to Alabama and been one of the top targets in that offense. I mean, Washington wasn't a tight end heavy passing attack.
Because they didn't have one.
They did.
Joe, they didn't have one like this kid. When this kid hits your team, he becomes your number one asset.
Washington's backup, third string tight end got drafted. Like, they had athletes at tight end. Look, just to get back to the talent here, I understand the concern for the concern of uncertainty with Alex Orji. We only really have a spring game to go off of, and there's plenty of time for him to get more comfortable and for those bad throws that we saw in the spring game to get out of his system. But what do we always say when we talk about a rookie quarterback or a freshman quarterback? We always love to bring up who is going to be his safety net, who is going to be his dump off option when things are falling apart. And a good tight end is a very underrated thing to have. I would argue.
The problem with that is, it's like Brucey from The Longest Yard. Hey, throw me the football. And it goes way over here. I just threw my pen. That's how bad it is.
I get that. Look, Orji's not. It was one spring game. I don't want to go too far to freak out on Orji, okay? Because he had some nice plays.
You can find accuracy in a spring game. Either you're accurate or you're not.
He made some good throws, and yes, his bad throws were horrendously bad. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. But here's a good example. Their rival, Kyle McCord, struggled at times to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka, the receivers, the football because it requires a lot more nuance and touch to deliver the ball down the field. But who was one of his top targets in a lot of games? It's Cade Stover. Cade Stover is nothing special.
By the way, where did Cade Stover get drafted?
I don't even know if he got drafted. Wait.
Damn, I thought that kid was good enough to get drafted.
He, I want to say the Texans.
Oh God!
Oh no, his fourth round pick to the Texans. I mean, he's gonna be the backup there, because they've got what
was it, Forsythe?
Dalton Schultz. No, they got Dalton Schultz, who's the kid ahead of him, or the guy ahead of him. To wrap my point up, though, tight ends consistently, when a quarterback is struggling, ends up being a go-to option. I think that this helps maybe Colston's case even more because it's easier to hit a tight end on drag route than it is to connect with a slot receiver on a seam, right?
Fair. I mean, I just don't think it's a good place for him at the current moment. I mean, just bottom line. So it is what it is.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.